Magic.
I saw a little icon come up that says the stream is live, so I guess we're good.
Yep.
You click that button like a champ.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. It just takes all my strength to just click that button down, and I don't know. Sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes that's just what it is. So we'll give it about 30 seconds, or a minute to kick on. I see the other thing I don't know is that with live streams that are pre made through StreamYard, if the notifications go out or not, because I don't think they do if it's
No,
coming through StreamYard versus an event that um, started on the YouTube side.
I believe when you put the link up there for an upcoming show, the notifications come out. But I don't believe when you go live they do.
Well, and I had set it up a little while ago, so I'm not sure if any notifications go out at all. So anyway,
It's a hit and miss with notifications on YouTube.
it is, but also I want to make sure that it at least gets balanced correctly or whatever. So
Yeah. So CJ, how you been?
oh, I'm excellent, man. I got a lot done in my desk area. Um, the little desk organizer thing actually came in handy. I went through the rest of my almost the rest of my in world coins, and I put them as far as like a holding station in my little desk organizer, and then I was able to go through my red boxes and put them away. So um, I do still need to make some adjustments to it, but so far it's working out pretty well, which I am happy about that. So yeah,
And the only thing I got done on my desk area was I was able to add more coins to it and make it more messy.
I did find some random ones like some 1964. Like I think that one's a proof, Canadian, and then this is a proof dime. So obviously they're in clear flips, so I have no idea what I'm doing with them. So
Yeah.
there's that.
At least they made it to a flip.
Well, I found them in a flip. They just haven't gone elsewhere.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
here's her.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
got I got some red boxes like that, just random coins, and I'm like, what the? Why
Where
is
did
this?
this come from?
Why I don't remember this coin. Why is there a penny in my $50 box?
Okay. So tonight's Monday Night Coin Talk is what determines the value of a coin or value of a coin. So this is a topic that has come up a lot in the past, on a lot of different shows, a lot of different websites, a lot of different chat groups, a lot of different message boards, because it's inherently subjective, determining the value of a coin. There's also different types of values of coins. There's numismatic value, which is a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight, but there's also intrinsic value. So that would be like the value of the metal that the coin is made out of. So silver, gold, nickel, copper, that kind of stuff. But there's also sentimental value, and especially with collectors, um, either new collectors or maybe who somebody who comes um, in ownership of a pre-built collection. Um, People will kind of think that, hey, this is part of a collection, so and it means something to me, and that's going to make it more valuable, which is kind of a lot of where I feel like people get actually get missed on what the actual value of a coin is or of a collection.
That's
So
that's a
what's
really
up?
good point because I mean, I get coins from my dad will send me coins, and my dad's up in his 80s right now. So anything that I get from him is going to have that sentimental value because I know being up in age, it's not he's close, but he's not there yet. And I mean, I get that. So anything that I get from my dad for any type of coins that he thought, oh, this is cool, or you might like this, there's always that sentimental value for me. The coin could only be worth face value
Mhm.
in by book and by standards, but that sentimental value is it just hits you, and you're like, no matter what, I will not get rid of this coin. So
Well, and the other side of sentimental value that says, "Oh, well, I got this from my grandpa, so it must be worth X," and
yeah,
it's not how actual value of a coin comes about. So what we did is we came up with some kind of some talking points to the value of a coin, on what actually determines the value of a coin. So we've got a number of different sections that we'll talk about, and yeah, if you guys have any questions that come up during the course of this, feel free to put them in the chat. Or if you're watching this later on and have questions, go ahead and put them in the comment section below. So the first aspect of determining the value of a coin is desirability. So desirability kind of has a few different factors. One of those is that it could be a variety. It could be a variety that people are after. It could be an error coin, or it could have some kind of demand for it or reason that it's got a demand, or it's a very popular coin or very popular series. So going back to variety. So variety, I actually looked up the definition because a lot of people have different definitions of variety. So I looked up the definition according to a third-party grader, NGC. So NGC defines a variety as one that differs from its basic design type in some distinctive way and thus differentiated by collectors. So varieties can come up in many different forms, such as doubled dies, that's reverse and obverse, repunchment marks, overmint marks, repunched or misplaced states, and even some improper designs, such as proof dies that were used on business strikes. So I just put together a short list of some really notable varieties that people know about, or maybe not don't know about it, but some very, very notable ones. Um, so the big one, especially for the Lincoln Cents, excuse me, is the 1955 Lincoln Cent Double Die Obverse. And this variety is widely known and really sought after for collectors for the extreme offset of the doubling. This is the type of doubling that you don't need any kind of magnification for. You can literally hold it up and you can see it clear as day. And it is one coin, especially in higher grades, it brings significant premiums because of the 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 strength of the offset of the doubling, and just how much that people want this coin. Another big one that a lot of Lincoln Cent collectors go after is the 1998, 99, and 2000 Wham or Wide AM. So this variety was struck in the Philadelphia Mint. And basically, what happened is that the proof design was used on business strikes. So why it's called the WHAM or the White AM is that there is a space between the A and the M of America on the reverse. That design was supposed to be used just for proof coins, and not business strikes. So there are a number of business strikes that have those, that have that design, that you can find these in pocket change. You can find them in coin roll hunting. You can even find them on eBay. I found multiple, I think like 3 or 4 of these myself, just doing coin roll hunting. They're really neat to find, and in good condition, can still be worth $15 to $20 generally. Obviously, the better condition, the higher value that it's going to have. Another one that I picked out was the 1975 Denver Jefferson nickel. This one is called the High D. And this particular Jefferson nickel has the Denver Mint mark all the way up next to the date, when generally it's supposed to be south of the date and somewhere in that southeast section to the right of the bust. That's generally where the mint mark goes. This particular one, this particular variety, has the D basically right next to the 5, and it's called the High 5 or High D. I'm sorry, not High 5. And many of these High 5, all right, many of these have been found and are often looked for by collectors, and they're really neat to find. I have not found any. I've known a couple people that have found these, and it is definitely, whenever I'm looking through nickels, I am looking for these specifically because I think that would be really cool to have one of those varieties. The last example that I picked out is actually a more modern coin, and that's the 2007 George Washington dollar. There was a number of pieces that were found of the George Washington dollar that actually has the edge lettering that was missing. So for some of the, I believe it goes up to 2008, that the presidential dollars have edge lettering. There is a transition, and I can't remember exactly where that is off the top of my head, but the 2007 George Washingtons should have edge lettering around the edge, and there has been a number of examples that have been found that do not have any edge lettering. So the only way that could have happened is that it was struck with something that is blocking the edge lettering, or the incorrect color was used for the striking of that particular coin. So after varieties, we transition to errors. So when I'm talking about varieties, I think die varieties. These are things that have happened to the die or the design or something that has caused them to be different. Errors are a breakdown in the production process. And there is quite a number of different steps that happen during the minting process. And if you guys don't know the minting process, I strongly encourage you to go look. The Mint's YouTube and the Mint website both have videos that you can go watch some of the minting process, and really understanding the minting process is going to be super beneficial for you to determine if something is an error coin or a variety or nothing.
Yep. Errorref.com has probably one of the best write-ups on the minting process.
And they also have a really strong list of different error types and basically what causes them. So I just picked out a few of the types of the errors. So off-center strikes. So an off-center is where a coin is outside the striking chamber and gets struck out there. Die breaks or cuds, which is basically a piece of the die has broken or broken off, and then has struck the coin, which leaves a void on the coin. Clash dies. That's when the dies come together without a planchette in between them, and the clash will actually transfer the design across both dies. Missing clad layers. If coins are that are clad coins are missing the clad layers, they'll have a different color. They'll have a different finish. Broken or incorrect planchets. This is one that has actually come up a few times. So there have been broken planchets. So coin struck on broken planchets, whether it's broken prior to strike or after strike. Basically, it looks like somebody took a chunk out of the coin, and it's still got the original the original design and everything. Incorrect planchets. This is a cool one because this doesn't happen very often. It could be an incorrect planchet that it was, say, a penny struck on a dime planchet, or a dime struck on a penny planchet, or an incorrect planchet for that was supposed to be for another country. There's a lot of different things that can happen during the course of minting that could cause um, these breakdowns in the minting process. Do you have anything on error coins?
No.
Okay. And then so the third piece of that's fine. The third piece of desirability. So the first one was variety, second one was error, and then popularity or demand. So we talked about this one because this one could go a lot of different ways. Like there's a series of coins that are very popular or that have consistent demand, like the Morgan dollars. They're always in demand. But the one that we talked about is actually a recent example. And there was a new double dot reverse found on a 1909 Lincoln cent. And so after this was announced, there was a huge spike in demand for this year for other people trying to find examples of this new double dot reverse. So it could be very situational, like that particular event that really caused a strong demand for that type of coin.
Yeah, that 1909, I mean, when that was discovered late last year, the beginning of the year, the the experts within the coin community, Mike Cronin, I think Pete Apple was involved in it. I mean, they are a tight knit group. So they did all their investigation, they did all of their things to verify that this was a new discovery to determine yes, it is, no, it's not. The word really did not get out to the coin community for 5 or 6 months because they were verifying that this is actually something that is new. Once that word come out, oh my goodness, eBay lit up. The sales of the 1909 spike. People were just buying them and then not even really knowing what they were looking for. So the popularity of them just skyrocketed. I do have a soft spot for the 1909. So
it is a great coin.
I went through. I got a bunch of them that are graded, and I'm like, oh man, please let me find one graded. Unfortunately, I did not. But
womp.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. It was a hope and a dream that I actually had one. Not very many of them have been found. That's talked about and known about. People might have found them and go, "Yep, that's cool." And they stuck it away. No one knows. Um, Facebook groups lit up with it. People talking like, "Hey, I found one. I found one." Yep, I found one. So they're slowly getting numbers in on how many are out there and stuff, but that's just going to be a process over 10 years to figure out what die was actually used for this and how many coins were struck with that die. Paperwork is not always correct from the mint back in them days, so it is a process.
Well, that and trying to figure out like because new discoveries happen every year. So to try to figure out what the impact of that is that is the hard part. And but that something like that, like a significant find on a well-known coin, can really change the dynamic of the market for a coin pretty overnight.
Yeah.
You want to do grade or condition?
Sure, I could talk about grade or condition on coins. With some collectors, the condition of coins will make it desirable. A lot of truth in that. People will only try to get a certain grade coin for their collection. That's their desirability on what it is. Key date coins will also have if it has a higher grade, it will become more desirable. These type of collectors are also looking for some of the best coins out there to have. Others look for the poorest grade, graded, graded or non-graded coins. It has to fit in what they have in mind for collection, and we'll get back to that in a minute.
Mhm.
And even with the graded or non-graded coins, other factors are also looked into at looking at desirability. With early cents, it could just mean the color of the coin, and with three main colors on the cents, you do have a red, you have a red brown, or a brown, and brown coins will have less than 5% red surface on them. Um, and they are known as just being a brown coin. Um, a red brown will have anywhere between 5 to 90% red surface. And then a true red coin will have at least 95 to 100% of red surface.
I will say that the colors for the Lincoln Cents, that has been a definitive weakness in my grading skills, specifically for the Lincoln Cents. That I am not very good about determining color. Like obviously, like when you're looking at coins that look like this is brown. Like I got that. Like brown is easy to tell, but to really see the difference between a red and a red brown, like I have to use my other resources for that because I can honestly contest that I am not good at it.
Right. And you also got to look at both sides of the coin. So if the front of your coin is brown because that just happened to be at the end of a roll and colored, but the reverse is red, that's 50% of the coin. One half of
So
it's brown, one half of it's red.
it's a net color.
So it would be distinguished, it would be a red brown because a true red would be 95 to 100%.
Okay.
So um, the color of the coin can change with improper long-term storage. I have seen that personally. Um, moisture and change the climate will turn a red coin into a red brown and all the way to a brown coin. And red coins will carry a significant premium over red, brown, and brown coins. So let's go back up. The condition and the grade has to fit in the mind of a collection.
Okay.
Um, there are people that will just use the wheat cent series as the example.
Okay.
They're trying to get one in AU50 only. Their collection consists of an AU50 coin of each. That, in their mind, fits into their collection. That makes sense?
Yeah, but how do you tie the color into it? Were you trying to tie the color into it?
Not on that particular example.
Okay.
Because with graded or non-graded, it has to fit into the mind of a collection, the mind of the collection. So you gotta.
I think a lot of people, when they're trying to build a collection, they'll go after the same condition for their entire collection. So like I know you're putting together a collection of Lincoln sets and you are trying to get them all graded and all in 66 or 67. And then the color kind of is kind of on the board, but I think you have the most of them in a red brown color. But that is your parameters for your collection on the Lincoln sets.
Yeah. With the red, brown, and brown, I mean, like I said, I've had red coins turn a red brown over the years. And they're graded. MS66 red. Oh, beautiful coin. Great. Better value because it's red designation. I looked at it the other day and I went, well, there went some of the value because it turned into a red brown.
I still think like of how I kind of kept the colors kind of in reference is that red is that bright bronze color, like it just got struck, like that is the initial color as it was just coming off of the line. The red brown is it has some age, and especially it's had some circulation. What I generally consider of brown coins is that they've been in circulation for a while. So you'll see a lot of like common wheat or lots of wheat coins. Well, those are going to be all brown.
Yeah.
They've had circulation, they've had wear, they've had oxidation. But to a new collector or somebody new coming into Lincoln Cents, that is an easy way to describe, hey, when you're looking at a coin, this is how you determine what the color is. Because when I first started looking at Lincoln Cents, I didn't understand the color. I didn't understand the color designation at all. Because I was like, that's not even red. Like that's orange. Why is it not orange brown? Well, it's because it's not. It's bronze. They call it red.
Mm-hmm. With the Lincoln Cents, I mean, when you're looking at that red designation, you're looking at a coin that hasn't been handled. It's not been in circulation. It's been put away properly, stored properly over the years. You're also looking at a better condition graded coin because it has not been handled. Right. So you're going to have a more desirable coin because it's red, but it's also a higher level of grade. I really don't think you're going to find like an EF40 penny with a red designation.
In red.
It's been in circulation. That's why it's an EF40. So it's going to lose its red designation just because it's been in circulation. It's been handled. That's where a lot of that redness will disappear when you're holding it, using it for change, whatever. So if you can find a really good true red coin, it's also going to be a higher graded coin because has not been handled.
Okay. So Morgan dollars, because I was talking about Morgan dollars earlier, have some specific strike type characteristics that also make them desirable with collectors. So the first designation is PL, or proof-like. And this designation with third-party grading companies, so PCGS, NGC, SEGS, I guess, ICG, a lot of these companies will use these terms that reflect Morgan dollars that have a proof-like appearance. And these coins are usually coins that were struck with fresh dies or freshly redressed dies. So redressing of a die is just basically making it clean, polishing it, cleaning up any imperfections, any cracks, anything like that. They do, some abrasion, some work to it, and make it as close to being new again. And so as circulation coinage, there is no special handling for the preparation of the dies for business strike coins. So when you get something that has proof-like characteristics for the strike, those will create more desirability. The next step from that is the deep mirror proof-like DMPL, or I say just dimple. So the dimple designation by third-party grading companies is especially well sought after strike type that shows up in coins having mirror-like fields and carrying a slight cameo effect. These strikes are generally thought of as basically being the first few strikes off of a newly installed die. So it takes proof-like and it takes it to the next level. So these are like the first 5, 10 coins that are struck off of a brand new die. And so even though these are business strikes, they have that very clean, very solid strike characteristic. So when you have these business strike coins, especially that are graded, that have these dimple and PL designations, they will carry a definite premium on them. It may not be much, or it may be a lot depending on the rest of the condition of the coin, but they definitely add value.
Yeah, those Morgans with the proof-like finishes. I mean, if you ever seen one with a proof-like finish and then one that's not a proof-like finish, it's night and day.
Yeah.
I mean, once you actually see them together, you're going to be able to pick them out easily.
It's very distinctive.
Right. They're, like I said, they're hard to come by without them actually being designated as proof-like, or the dealer knows it's a proof-like and the price reflects that. Finding a bag of just Morgans and going through them and finding proof-like in it that'd be pretty stout.
Right. Rarity. Talk to me about rarity.
Rarity is a commonly used to describe the coins on. Rarity is commonly used to describe a coin online, is used in a very subjective way. Just stating that a coin is rare does not make it instantly more valuable. This information should be used if the coin is rare or not. Oh God, put my glasses on. Everything looked like the 55 double die. It's just waving. The use of rarity is used to determine if a coin is rare or not, comes down to two rarity references. How come that didn't read well? The Sheldon scale and the Bowers scale both are in use, but the Sheldon scale is what is referred to more often and is more common to see. The Sheldon scale was developed to identify the population or large sense varieties by Dr. William H. Sheldon in 1949. The Sheldon scale was donated by the letter R, and a number 1 through 8 reflecting the population, with 1 being very common and 8 being unique or very close to unique. This scale has been adopted across many. The Sheldon Bream scale,
many references.
the many references.
There we go.
Thank you.
Mistype. Sorry.
Yep. I'm like, okay, that's my reading skills right there, folks.
That's where the sentence ends.
That's where it ended. That's where I paused. The Sheldon Bream scale does not address many other coins made in the 19th to 20th century. That is, let me recap that a little bit. When the Sheldon scale came out, it was basically designed for the large cent varieties. He was the expert in them, had all the information, had all the knowledge, and he put that scale together to determine the large cent varieties on how many are in population, how many are projected to be out there, how many of that coins were made because that die was used for so many strikes. As time went on, the Sheldon scale did not apply to other coins because it was designed for the large cents. So a new scale was developed. And
which is the Bowers University Rarity Scale.
Yes, the Bowers University Rarity Scale, which has been adopted across multiple sources. The most common, this scale is utilized in the Higher Popular Cherry Pickers Guide, written by Bill Fitz and J.T. Stanton.
5S.
Oh, look how pretty it is. Look how pretty it is.
I don't think that I can have a single live stream where I don't bring out a book.
Well, you don't bring out the Cherry Pickers Guide.
or just any book. I think that has been a staple in every single one of our live streams is that, hey, by the way, like there's a book. There's a book for that.
Yeah. With the Bowers University Rarity Scale, the BUR, I think that right?
URS.
BURS, thank you.
No, URS.
The University Scale, URS.
Universal?
God.
It's okay. So Bowers Universal Rarity Scale, it was adapted across multiple sources, and it's highly popularized by the Cherry Pickers Guide. And what is important about this scale is that it basically applies to any coinage or any token, anything that has quantity as a factor. So coins, tokens, metals, and even currency could actually have this universal rarity scale applied to it. So the URS uses a 1 to 20 scale, with URS 1 being the lowest possible known to exist, and even up to URS 20 with 250,000 to 500,000 quantity known. So this scale is set up to be a mathematical progression. So the higher the URS number, the more quantity of that is going to exist. So you may see either an R number or a URS number, depending on what reference that you are using. So the cherry pickers, they're going to have URS. If you're looking for something else like so-called dollars, it's going to use the Sheldon scale with the R, and the kind of the hardest thing that I found with the differences on the two scales is that the reference to them is opposite. So URS 1 for the Bowers scale is the lowest quantity known. And on the Sheldon scale, R8 is the lowest quantity known. So they're kind of opposite in a way, but it's still a way to be able to tell the quantity as far as quantity known. So you can use that as a population reference, kind of like how PCGS has their population census, as far as not population census, survivability census, as far as what they project the survivability would be. So it is a pretty good reference so that you can take something and you say, hey, I know that there was 200,000 of these made and only 15,000 exist. It's going to put it in this reference. So like URS 8. Well, that is a way for you to compare how rare something is in comparison to anything else.
Right. Also use these scales. I mean, if you're cherry picking or looking for coins, knowing these scales is actually going to help you, because even though it could be a key date or a semi key date, the rarity scale will determine how many of those are in existence. And even with non-key dates, that, I mean, if 500,000 of these coins were produced, but only 100,000 are available or still known, having that information when you're buying coins, knowing that, okay, a lot of them were produced, hardly any exist. So the rarity, having that information or having some type of knowledge on those rarity scales is going to be beneficial when you're actually looking just for coins to add your collection, or coins that you're going to be looking at maybe as a resale, because now I picked up a coin that doesn't exist as much as it did back in the day.
Right.
I'm having trouble with words tonight.
It's okay. It happens. So the other thing that we wanted to talk about in terms of rarity is also a couple of other factors that also you are going to find in the Cherry Pickers book. And that's interest factor and liquidity factor. So the interest factor reflects the demand for the coin with a scale of 1 to 5 with the letter I for interest in front of the number. So an I5 will be of high interest and I1 will be of low interest for collectors. It's basically kind of another way to just gauge what is the demand for this coin. So the liquidity factor addresses how easily a coin could be sold and also works on the scale of 1 to 5. But this time it's the L denoting the liquidity factor. So an L5 will sell more easily. So an example that we pulled out was looking at the Cherry Pickers Guide 1953 D Washington quarter with an over mint mark is listed as URS 3. So we know that there's a certain number of those known. I5, so it has very high interest, and L4, which is a liquidity factor of 4. So what you'd be looking for is that there is a smaller quantity known. It has high interest, and you could probably turn and sell these pretty quickly if you have one of these that you found, which is exactly what it is. So the kind of an asterisk to talk about the interest factor and the liquidity factor is that these aren't numbers that are specifically set in stone, because a lot of factors go into it. The population of those, how many have been found, what the survivability is in certain grades, whether it becomes later denoted as not a variety, which has happened before. A lot of things could affect those two factors. But especially when you're looking at the Cherry Picker book, it's a good reference to say, hey, if I find one of these, and do I want to find it to keep it in my collection, or do I want to find it to try to sell it? So if you are looking for something or finding something that has a low interest and a low liquidity factor, would not be my first choice or second or third on trying to turn around and sell it, because there's not much demand for it.
Right. And the demand for these coins, they could change overnight, so always keep that in mind. Just because there's no demand for it today, 2 days from now, a Bitcoin channel on YouTube could be talking about it, and then all of a sudden there's a high demand because now it's being talked about. Now people are like, oh, cool. This person said this is a pretty neat coin. I'm going to go out and get one. So the demand will change overnight just based on people just talking about the coin. So it's quite unique if you actually follow the pattern on how this stuff works and have a little bit of information. If we get 3 or 4 channels to talk about a certain coin that's low demand, really nothing, and they start talking about this coin for a couple weeks, you're actually going to see the demand for that coin go up.
Yeah, for sure.
So the coin collectors have an influence on the supply and demand of these things.
So another factor that we talked about is key dates and semi-key dates. So a key date is basically a term that is used for coin which is scarcer and harder to obtain in a series, where a semi-key date will basically be one step down from that, from a key date, and will have a greater quantity known, or a greater URS, as we described. But there isn't really a black and white list of which coins are semi-key dates, and can actually be influenced by a couple of factors. So some of the factors that we picked out is mintage. So mintage is by far the number one factor to any kind of key date or semi-key date, and is basically how many coins overall of that date and mint mark combination or issue, as it's called in some references, that were struck. So a prime example, 1909 SVDB. There's 400,000 of those minted. The mintage on those is very, very low when you're talking about a Lincoln cent, especially when you and the 1950D Jefferson nickel. That's known as the key date because when you look at it compared to the other years around it, it also has a really low mintage. Survival numbers. So I hit on this just a little bit ago, but it's basically how many coins are still in circulation or assumed to still exist based on assumed attrition rates and original mintage figures. So you could have a coin that is very robust and have 500,000 of them minted, and because they're robust, because of their design is very strong, they have greater survivability, because they're either not used as much or they just last longer. The other thing is you could have something that has the same mintage, the 500,000, but there's issues with that coin. So example of survivability numbers would be the 1875 20-cent coin. That particular coin, there was 1.13 or 1.3 million of these minted overall, and they were such a flop. There was so much pushback from the public on them that they actually brought back over 700,000 to be remelted back at the mints. So the survivability of those coins is very low compared to the original mintage. And then the demand. So the demand is what we see as far as what the market demand for that coin issue. So the coin's date, mint mark configuration. So we know that there are very particular ones in the Lincoln Cent series, like the 1909 SVDB. That's known as a key date because it has very low survivability. It's got very low original mintage, and it's one of those very, very sought after coins. The 1914D is another one that has low survivability, low mintage. 1922D, low mintage, even worse survivability because they ran those dies into the ground, and then after they exploded, they put them back together and ran them again. So those coins just are generally just terrible. And so those particular kind of points or areas are what drive demand for these types of coins. So we put together a short list of key dates and semi-key dates. Some of these actually I already started talking about because I talk too much. The 1950D nickel only has a mintage of 2.6 million compared to the other dates in the 1950s, which generally range from 20 million to over 100 million. So 1950D nickel, Jefferson nickel, key date. 1931S Lincoln Cent with only 866,000 minted. I personally have seen this coin listed under both a key date and a semi-key date, probably because of the mintage. So it can be somewhat confusing, but I would consider the 1931S a key date coin because of the mintage. So I put it along the same par as the 1909S, the 1999 SVDB, the 1914D. Like I put those all in the same category. And of course, we can't forget the holy grail for all Lincoln Cent collectors, the 1909 SVDB, with the mintage of only 484,000 and with a PZS estimated survival rate of only 61,000. So you have the original mintage, which is low. You have the survivability of the 1909 SVDB that is low. And you have the demand, which is high. That is a coin that basically in any condition will have value.
Yeah, the red book going to be a good reference for you. You could go through and it will tell you the mintage numbers. So you'll be able to figure out, okay, that was a highly produced coin. I need this coin from my collection, but since there was hundreds of million of them made, I don't need to buy one to buy one. I could wait and buy a better quality one because they're going to be out there because millions of them were made. So the probability of finding a higher graded or a better looking coin is going to be in your favor because of the mintage numbers. And with low mintage numbers, the higher graded coins are going to be less because of the mintage numbers. So you got to look at it from both sides. That's why those 1909 SVDBs and MS65, 66 command such a huge number.
Huge numbers, all of the numbers.
I mean, it's new house numbers. It's new car numbers.
Right.
So, even with the low mintage coins, it could still not make the list or be considered a key or semi-key date because there is low demand for it. So you got to look. I mean, there's a big spectrum of things you really got to consider when you're looking at these coins and determining if it's going to be a sought after coin, a high demand coin, a low demand coin, low mintage, high mintage. There's a big spectrum that you really got to kind of focus around to determine when you're actually buying coins or looking at these types of coins. So it's just not like, oh, that's pretty and shiny, which I've bought coins at coin
I've bought coins, and we're all guilty.
and we're all guilty. Those dollar boxes at coin shows, go through them. You're going to come across better looking, better graded coins in there, from wheat pennies all the way down to nickels, that are just a better quality coin. That's just $1. I picked up an Indian head in a dollar box last month at the coin show, and this thing is every bit MS6566 red. That's that Indian head I showed you, and you're like, you suck.
Yeah,
I cherry picked that coin.
Right, and you can take that because because of the grade, because of the color of it, you can say, hey, I know this is worth more. It has more value because of these factors. And if I wanted to, I could either keep it and add value to my collection, or it's something that I know I could probably turn around and sell for a decent profit, because I know it fits it. It has more value because of these.
Right.
So to recap, kind of some of all of the different factors that we talked about tonight. We have basically the major points of what gives value to a coin, and that's desirability, greater condition, rarity, and basically semi-key or key date issues. Basically, in desirability, it could be a variety, it could be an error coin, or it could have some significant popularity or have a lot of demand. With a grade or condition, look for certain strike characteristics. Other than the Morgans, there's also specific ones on the Jeffersons, like 5 steps. The Lincoln series is the red brown as the color. The Morgans are the proof-like and DMPLs. And then rarity is basically how many of these things exist. So all of these different pieces of the puzzle lead to giving value to a coin. So this list that we put together is definitely not something that is an end all or all inclusive list. We just wanted to go through and pick out some very, very significant things to help people help them define what gives value to a coin, so that when they have a coin, then they can say, okay, what is this? What are the characteristics of it? What are the attributes of it that I can determine definitively that it gives it value, and what kind of value does it give it? And this just helps go through some of those things on what you'd be looking for. So I anticipate that we'll have another list like this that will go through different factors about bringing identifying or determining the value of a coin, because it's definitely one that there is some information out there, but unfortunately, like determining the value of a coin is more of a science and not I need to check the list or something that's printed that you could just reference. It's a lot more of a science.
Lady Spitfire brings up a coin. She said it's the rotated nickel. It's not rare, but it's cool. So, what are your personal thoughts on the cool factor of a coin? And would that actually fit into desirability and stuff like that?
So for me, if I thought something was cool, that would would increase the desirability for me. And so cool things for me that I would want to collect, or maybe that I would want to obtain, is like the strong wood grains. I do like seeing those. I have a number of them. I don't hold on to them for very long, but I think they're really cool. Those really, really, odd ones, like the multi-denominational clash dies. Those are cool because those are things that have to significantly go wrong to even exist. So the 1857, the Flying Eagles, the half dollar, like all of those, like those are cool because of the history of how they even came to exist. Rotated dies are really neat again because like you have to think about, like, there is a significant breakdown in the minting process that has to occur to allow something like that to exist.
Right. And with the cool factor, I mean, I have coins that I think are cool. Do they fit into my personal collecting needs? No. Do I still own the coins? Yes.
Yes.
They're cool. To me, that's a cool looking coin. That's a desirable coin to me. Maybe not to anybody else. So I would say there would be somewhat of a small demand within yourself with the cool factor.
And I'll put an asterisk on this because there are types of coins and types of like errors and stuff that are just cool to people that like to collect coins. Like most people feel like a Blake Planchet is something that's cool. To most coin collectors, they think that's cool because they understand, hey, what happened to this that it missed the entire minting process? Like, how did this get out of the mint? Like, there are considerable steps that have to occur to allow that thing to exist.
Yeah. How did we go from step 5 to step 39 and miss everything in between?
Yeah, like it just stopped. It stopped at step 4 and never got any further.
Yep.
Like at all. Like it just skipped all of that. And it could be any number of things, but it's those things that I think that have that cool factor or that wow factor. Like there's even like, I mean, the 1955 double die obverse, that is something that is cool to most coin collectors, both seasoned and new, because it is what it is. Yeah. Like, it's so strong and so prominent that you can see it with your plain eyes, no magnification, and you don't even have to know that much about coins to realize that there's something wrong with this coin.
Yeah. Cool is in the eyes of the beholder. I mean, you and I've talked about coins all the time, and I've shown you stuff, and you're like, yeah, that's pretty neat. It's this, that, the other thing. But to me, that's just a cool looking coin. I'm keeping it because it's a cool looking coin. There's no numismatic.
Numismatic?
God, words are hard.
words are hard.
Words are hard tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no value, physical value of the coin except the cool factor within me.
Right.
So,
and when I first started collecting, I was collecting mad coins, so misaligned dies. But as I got further into it, I was like, why am I collecting these? Like, yeah, I understand that, yeah, they are misaligned. So they've got a smaller rim on one side and a lot thicker rim on the other side. but it's not delineating between of any of the devices. Like it's not cutting off any of the devices, anything like that. So really, it's not anything.
Yeah.
Technically. And so that's where I started with, hey, I thought that was cool. But then as I come to more information, I'm like, that was cool, but now it's not, because to me, numismatically, it doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm. All right. Sorry, I just wanted to touch on that because it's, I mean, there is a cool factor with all of this. So
coins that aren't round are cool. I don't care who you are. Prove me wrong.
That's the evolution of the wheel being made.
Yeah, these are all Bahamas, and like they're scalloped.
Yeah.
Like those are neat. The square ones, those are also neat. Like I don't care who you are, those things are cool.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Any final thoughts, sir?
No.
Other than we will probably come up with another list later down the road, because these are some of the things that we often talk about, like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. A lot of people got Bahama coins from Ken. When he went on his cruise, he came back with rolls of them.
Yeah. Yeah, those are definitely good.
He didn't go on any offshore excursions. He went into town to the banks and bought rolls of coins to bring back.
Just give me all the coins. I don't care about anything else. Give me the coins.
I don't care about no horseback riding, rock climbing, going through caves, traditional food. Nope. Where's the banks at? I want coins.
Facts. Totally. Yeah. Ken was really great, and we all miss him. He was definitely a very rock of our coin community, and really brought a lot of actually a lot of us to together, and a lot of us to really love the knowledge factor that really drives kind of a lot of stuff of what we do today. So all right. It's been just over an hour. So I want to thank everybody who dropped in, everybody who's listening right now. So if you guys have questions, go ahead and drop them in the comment section below. If you guys have thoughts or ideas for any future shows that you guys want some information on, also please drop that in the comments below. We thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, everyone.